Hi there, I'm starting a little tutorial series that I think could be quite useful because today I want to show you how you can create a time tracking tool with Excel that will help you organize your time. This can help you in various situations. For example, if you want to organize your working time better, or if you have started various projects in your free time that you will keep track on. I will also create an extra video for students, as this tracking method can help you keep track of how much you have learned and how much you still have to learn, especially when you're studying for exams. The core principle is very simple. You have different tables for each project in which you can enter your working hours for each day with start and end times. These times are then summarized in an overview table that shows your working hours per day and per project. You can use this information to create various informative graphs, for example graphs about the project time distribution or about your overtime. But now let's move on to Excel. The first step is to create additional Excel sheets. Call the first one Overview. Give the other sheets the names of the respective projects. I will call these projects Tutorial, Coding and Sport. Creating tutorials, do a little bit of coding and being active in sports are leisure activities that I like to do and that I would like to track. However, you are free to organize them individually for yourself, and it is also possible to name them according to your personal work projects or free time projects. Today I would first like to show you how to create the project sheets. Let's start with the tutorial sheets. First define the column names in the above. We call them at first date, second column start time, the third column end time, then difference. We will calculate the minutes of the difference, also the hours. Then we will create a number value of that time. We will cumulate those times, cumulated for each day. Then we will use an value that is true or false if we have to transfer the end time of that day into our overview table. Therefore, we call that column transferred. And you can use additional two columns to identify specific activities you did within that time frame. Therefore, I call this column activity. And the last column I will call it specifics. This can help you to track additional details about how you spent your time in that day. For example, I worked on a script on the 11th May 2024. That's our date. I worked from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. We enter this date, the start time and the end time. Under activity you can now enter any example. For example, on that day, in that time, I was working on the first tutorial 1, and under specifics I am entering writing a script. As already mentioned, these are just additional informations that we could use, but if you don't need them, you can omit them as well. There are additional columns that we have to fill now. The first column is difference. In this column we are calculating end minus start time. So we type in an equal and then end time minus start time. It's that easy. So in the next cell we have to calculate it. We will use the minute command, and in the cell F2 we will use our command to get the values that we require to calculate the numerical value of that time. So we give in equals minute of that value, and we will calculate equals hour of the same value. And now we can calculate the next cell with the command equals round brackets the hours plus the minutes divided by 60 semicolon and 2. So we get rounded values. In that example it's quite easier. When we have some additional different time values, like something like this will make easy calculations on the difference in time in a numerical value we can use for calculations. In the next column we will want to accumulate the times that we spent in the project. Therefore we using the time we spent now versus the time we spent before, which is in that case the 0, so both numbers should be equal. We also want to totalize the working times per day for an overview. To do this we use an if command. We add the working time just done, and if the last date is the same as the current date, then we add the working time from the upper cell. We also want to totalize the working times per day for an overview. To do this we use an if command. We add the working time just done if the last date is the same date as the current one in the specific cell. Then we add the working time from the upper cell. So let's give in one if command, and first comes our conditions, and we will check the date before if that's equal to our current date. I'm not completely sure. In Excel I think we only need one equal sign. So, and then we need one semicolon. Then comes the case when the condition is true. So if both dates in that row are equal, we are still in the same day, and we will use the current value for our time additionally to the last cumulated one. If that's not the case, we only use the current value of the time we spent working. And we have to keep track on that. We have to shift. This was a wrong column. The correct column for that one is time. So let me explain again. We have the condition. If both dates from the row before and the actual row are the same. If that's the case, we use the current spent time on working in that project plus the cumulated time from that day. And if that's not the case, we have different dates, so different days. So we use only the current spent time for that working project on that time, on that day that we want to cumulate. That's all for that. The transfer field works in a similar way. This is used later to transfer the correct cells to the overview table. Use an if command to check whether the next date is different from the current date. If this is the case, today ends and you can transfer the cell to the overview tables. Let us write the command. We type in if brackets and then we check the actual date with the date before. If this condition is true, we type in false, since we are still on the same day and we don't have to transfer that value into the overview table. But if this condition is not true, we give ein true, because that means our day ends. The next time in the row is for another date, so we have to transfer the cumulated day value onto the overview table. To show you further how that is working, I will type in some exemplary values. For example, we worked here until that time. Now we have all relevant examples and columns within the project sheet. So you maybe get an imagination on how that tables will later work to track your time. You can also download these tables from a GitHub repository that I have created for you. Click on the link in the video description for that. In the next episode, I will show you how the overview table will be structured. So please switch on again. If you were interested in this tutorial, please subscribe to the channel or like the video. Thank you very much and have a nice day.